Spartans! What is your profession? This is Sparta!
What is going on, everybody? We're back at it with another episode. Excuse me, another episode, another stream. Before we get in, I want to everybody give a warm welcome to my boy, to my man, aka Black David, aka Bear Claw, aka CBN, aka Earthquake. What is going on, my man?
Mine is the earthquake. I'm doing good. Came back
Yeah.
from work a few hours ago, but other than that, looking forward to this topic, which is a very interesting, but not something to walk around with topic because this is something I'm sure there have been many talked about it for the past couple of years, but we shall see how we deal with it.
This is a topic that hits me very home because I dealt with it very personal. And I think you have too, David. Am I wrong or right?
I dealt with it in a very unusual way, which I found it kind of like mixed reviews. Because being a IT professional in a corporate sector, it can be it could be a blessing and it could also be a curse depending on the entity and the environment. And here's the
I
thing though. But here's the thing
right.
though. I'll tell you one thing I've noticed so far is not being consistent. Every corporate sector, either in the public or the private sector, when you come in, they have you take this sexual harassment class you have to take. They have you take all these courses that you have to take. They make sure that you sign off and you understand the company policy concerning such thing like sexual harassment, discrimination, etc., so on and so forth. And this is done yearly. If it's not yearly in some company, you do it twice a year just to see if you understand the policy. So when I tell you in my 23-year career in IT, it's not something I like about it, but it's kind of like it's annoying.
Mhm.
Trust
So
me, it is.
I want to give a little background why I wanted to pick this topic, and I had to sit on it for a while because I couldn't come out with it for a while. So a few years ago, about 2 years ago, um, the company I was working for lost the account, and I got transferred, and everything was going great. working good. Nothing crazy. Just another day in the office, in the kitchen, in my opinion, in my personal field. So all of a sudden, I get put in the office for sex harassment. It was nothing big deal. They told me, listen, you don't have to worry about it, yada yada. But they would not tell me what was the complaint against me. The next thing I know, they wanted me to put a statement down, and I got suspended. Fast forward a week later, I got terminated. Again, to this day, I left. I don't know why I was terminated. Theory was it was a the back house manager was jealous of me because his girlfriend worked there and he didn't like nobody talking to her. Okay, whatever. Fast forward later, I went through a couple jobs. Then I end up landing a job with St. Luke's Health Network. This is where I'm getting pissed now because everything was going fine. We were joking around at work. There's no more joking, nothing out of ordinary, just plain joking around. So, next thing I know, I'm getting pulled in HR saying, "Oh, you didn't want to talk to you." They're questioning me why I'm getting parked to next to somebody. I go, because I get there at a certain time. I park there a certain X, Y, Z. Get suspended. Got terminated because I was parked to next to somebody. This little twat. Her name is Irene, by the way, if anybody wants to know. Irene complaining because I was parking next door. Here's the catch. And gets wild now. I came to work between 9:30, 10 o'clock around there, depends on the day. She come at 12. Now, who's parking next to who? Because she was a
Okay, time out,
fucking woman.
time out. Hold on, time out,
Go for it. Go,
time
David.
out. Now that you mentioned the detail, what state in this in?
Pennsylvania. We're in an unwheel state.
What state?
Pennsylvania, PA.
Pennsylvania. She's damn lucky she was in New York State.
Absolutely. Because Pennsylvania is an unwheel state.
And let me ask this also a question. That parking lot got camera, correct?
Yeah.
Here what I do know, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm gonna be godly about it. That ignorant buffoon of a woman who filed a sexual harassment case on a person she claimed parked next to her. And if they were to pull the video camera footage of the parking lot and put a timestamp when he came and parked his car and when she came to park her car and she got this guy fired in New York State, not only would they throw the book at her, the company that supported her nonsense could lose their business license.
Correct.
And not only that, if I was a grimy ass lawyer for Ghost or Spotter, not only I will sue the company, I'll make sure you sue the one for every dime they own and then some. So not only she lose her job, the company lose their business license, she lose her home, she lose her livelihood, and she join all the idiot on the street.
It gets better. That's not even the top of it. So one of my managers who was on duty that day excuse me, supervisors on duty, and because she's a supervisor too, there are two supervisors, Irene and another gentleman. I don't want to mention his name. I promise I keep his name out of this. They say his name is Steve for argument's sakes.
Hmm.
So Steve said, my manager, my director, Bob, the two-faced motherfucker he is. I'll explain in a minute why he said to him, "Oh, HR wants you to put a statement down." Like, fuck that, he goes to me. And he called me and told me this story. And I found research, other people telling me the same story. He says to me, yeah, that is true. They said he went down to HR. He told me straight up, yeah, he parked there. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not against any rules. We don't have assigned parking. We all joking around. It was nothing like this is taken. The joke is out of context because he was joking because he parked next to somebody. What the fuck is this bullshit? He calls me like, dude, don't worry, you're gonna be back. Yada yada. I got you, man. I made sure your name is clear. So you're David. You're on mute. We can't hear you if you're talking to us. So fast forward about a day or two later, I get a phone call. I get terminated. Immediately, I get on a fucking phone with as many as lawyers as I can. I spoke to 5 lawyers. All 5 lawyers said to me, "You're screwed because you're on unwell estate. They didn't do nothing wrong. Now, if they fired you because you're a white, you fired you because you have tattoos, then you have a case because this is an unwell estate. It's her word versus yours." And she felt it was harassment. They didn't do nothing wrong. Yeah,
And this is why I have an issue with the lawyer because I what I said, I'm screwed. So let me ask you a question. What about the video footage of the parking lot?
I spoke to 5 different lawyers, all 5, and said it doesn't matter the video. It's your word versus theirs at this
Yeah.
point.
Now what
It,
pet
it,
peeve
it's a.
me
I know it's fucked up. It's very fucked up. I'm not gonna argue that part. It's
because
bullshit.
In New York State, that do not fly. Your word versus her. And they call evidence pure, unfiltered evidence. It showed the time that when you came in and parked your car, she came and parked her car next to yours, and to file claim of sexual harassment because you parked your car next to was at other way around,
I agree with you.
that company will lose the. If you the company you see my face, don't bring that kid to New York State. Not only will chew your ass out, you will never do business again with that type of bullshit.
Oh yeah, trust me. The lawyer. I spoke to several lawyers, and all of them said the same thing.
I would have
We.
taken I would have taken that security footage, plastered it all over the internet, and say, people of the country, make sense of this. Put her face. They're like, what am I on fit today? Plaster her face so that she can never get a job. If she has to leave the country, then leave the country.
I agree 100%,
It
bro.
has nothing to do with sexist. This is pure, unfiltered bullshit.
Yeah. So I find out also more information after that. Get ready for this one. So we have a director. Then under the director is a GM, Jared. Jared is newly married. Guess what's going on with Jared and Irene?
What happened?
They're banging each other. Bingo. You see how the plot and
You
twist
mean that
is?
idiot female who got you fired is banging and married man?
Yeah. And a manager.
Well, that's no different from the kid or the policewoman sleeping the whole entire police department.
Oh yeah. You see how the plot and twist it gets deeper and deeper. This is why I want to do this topic so much because do we as men have any rights anymore? Do we men are in the driver's seat of our own career?
You want me to be technical about it?
Go for it. I'll give you the floor.
To be honest with you guys, I have seen something like this. I've heard something like this before, but hearing from my partner right here, it let me know two things. The laws of the land have been twisted, it have been screwed, it have been damaged, it has been destroyed. We have talked about the child support law, the family court law, now the employment law is fucked up. I don't understand how someone practice law while I'm thinking the same thing. I don't know how someone practice law, right? And there's unfiltered evidence that will go against her clear as day. You cannot tell me there's no security camera on site. There's no security camera in the parking lot. And you are telling me on top of all that is her word against yours? So where in the Pennsylvania state law that say believe all women? I would like to see that law. I'd like to see who wrote that law. I want to see who signed that law. So I could get some baby powder, first layer, put a jalapeno hot sauce, second layer, put some Lysol wipe in with third layer, and smack the person because right there, you are proving the reason why the American workforce is going to be destroyed over idiotic bullshit. You want to talk about being fair? But people can bring us trumped up cases against anybody without no solid evidence. But you have solid evidence against them, and you have five lawyers who claim to be lawyers saying that there's no case for that. And this is Pennsylvania? Seriously? I don't know what to explain because this this thing about equality, if that's the case, then this should be also put in a memo throughout the United States. If there's a bullshit that's going on right now, every male, no, let me rephrase that. Every man, and I'm talking about adult male, every man, if you see a female in danger, do not waste your God freaking time to save them. They keep it moving and keep it walking. So this is all about equality. Let them figure that shit out themselves. No one, no female to coming out of her God forbidden retarded ass mouth. Talk about why can't man stand up? Stand up for what? What do you mean stand up for? You act for equality. We're giving you equality. That being said, we have no more comfort, no more right to put our neck out there to save anyone, and I'll say legally speaking, anyone that's not within our domain. Meaning, if you're not legally married to her, she's not your responsibility. I said legally married under the state law. If she's not your wife, don't waste your time. Keep it moving, keep it walking. No, you cannot have your cake and your ice cream. I'm sorry. I deal with logic. I deal with a rational way of thinking. I don't deal with an emotional way of thinking. If that's the case, read my lip. Fuck your feelings. It's not about being a bully. I have lost patience for the ignorant, nincompoop, retarded, good for nothing, high school dropout mentality. No, I don't deal with that. What is logical is logical. What is fair is fair. What is rational is rational. What is technical and tech, I don't want to do with no made up bullshit. The woman was in the wrong. She filed a false complaint. That is perjury. She should get that ass locked up for that. If a man commit perjury, you think they're gonna wait, they're gonna hesitate to throw us in jail for that? She committed perjury, falsify a report. That to be time on that. It is what it is. If you can't stand on that, then by all means, don't ever in your retarded ass mouth say this is the country of law and order. Because that right there, they prove what I've been saying for far too long. There's no order in this country. You let the type of bullshit go on. There's none. You cannot debate me and say I'm wrong about it. No, you cannot. Because you have such law like this, you can't tell me anything. You just can't. I'm not buying it. I'm not hearing it. I'm not saying it is what it is. I'm. You don't understand how that thing that make me think. I'm like, what the f?
Yeah, you're fucking pissed now for me, aren't you?
I'm beyond pissed. I'm putting in my memo. If someone offer me a house in Pennsylvania, it'll be an automatic hell the fuck no.
And it's a funny thing, because I had to do a little Uber in between those jobs, and I picked up some customers. And you're okay over there?
I'm too pissed. My throat was just flaming.
Don't choke. I need you alive, at least for the show.
Now I won't die from this. I'll be pissed, but that thing it's just the thought of it though. It is It doesn't. It doesn't. When I hear stuff like that, I'm trying to understand who passed that law. Were they high? Were they drinking or something? Don't tell me they passed a law doing an orgy or something.
Unfortunately, as much I want to say these laws are horrible. I have Mariana in the house.
Hmm.
Mariana is also in the same field I am. She is a chef like myself. She is in healthcare. Her comments, you see exactly. She's seen this firsthand herself. I'm not going to say names to detail. I cannot say the company she works for, but she had another individual who didn't do nothing wrong, and they fired him for, again, sexual harassment.
And there's evidence
Innocent.
that it's untrue, right?
From what she told, again, I'm not sure about her situation, this guy's situation, but was,
This what I'm. This
again,
what I'm.
hang, David. Let me finish my statement for a second. I wasn't there. I don't work for the same company where she works. We used to work together. But what I do know, there are multiple cases. Keyword: multiple motherfucking cases. Seven. The one lawyer I spoke to, it was through my church, and he went to me. I'll be honest with you, Peter. He goes, "We can try, but most likely you're going to lose more money than anything because the judge is not going to see." The camera first is okay. You got fired because of X, Y, and Z. That is what's called unwell termination. You can walk in with this shirt and you're supposed to wear as a let's say I work for Calvin Klein, argument's sake, I'm wearing a shirt like that. And I'm supposed to wear a black Calvin Klein and I wear a purple, green, orange. You be terminated for the wrong shirt for that. That is in their rights. Pennsylvania is one of the worst states to work for.
So you're telling me I will make it clear. There is a policy that a company have, that a regulation the company had. You follow the policy, you follow the regulations, and
Mhm.
yet they'll get fired on trumped up case where there's evidence proving that is not the case. By all means, I said this, you hear it from my mouth. Pennsylvania to go bankrupt. You to move your ass out of Pennsylvania and let Pennsylvania go so far bankrupt that they have two choices. Either change that stupid ass law or that state to be removed from the United States. Now, now I'm being unfair. That's not a state. That's a piece of shit.
Trust me, dude. I've been dealing with it for.
I'm telling
a-
you, you cannot pay me a billion dollars to move to Pennsylvania going forward. I rather piss on that state or crap on that state than live on that state.
Not only
If
is this
that's
laws
the
are
type of law
fucked up
you're
here,
practicing, if that's the type of law you're practicing, no real tech company to move there. Literally vacate that state.
the fucked up part is the most fucked up part is there's not only work laws, in general, Pennsylvania laws are also fucked up. I'm listening to something like even the firearm laws, like so, it was so stupid. Like like you do X, Y, and Z, you get in trouble, but you're defending your home, kind of thing.
This
Like I'll give you a quick example. I know somebody was a family friend of theirs. He ended up pretty much shooting the guy, to be straight up, for defending his wife because he was her. The guy was stalking her, and he went to jail. How fucked up is that?
this is why goes to spot. I want you to hear from me. I've seen it for so long. I've been saying it long before social media. This is the reason why you have good for nothing, retarded ass politicians who should never be in office for the simple fact that one, they dumb down the country, two, they moved civic lessons from elementary school, middle school, and high school, three, they made it whereby people don't focus on who's running for office, four, since everybody quote unquote chasing them back, you just vote down the body either Democrat or you don't know who that person you're voting for at all. And when
Okay,
you
let me ask
don't
you this question for you really fast. The workforce has evolved. Can we agree on that, both of us, right now?
involve in what way, negative or positive?
Depends on the point of view. I personally think it has evolved in a negative way right now.
I think it evolved in more a massive negative because I hate to say this, I'm noticing people are rather move out of the country and work for other country workforce than work for here because this is a lost cause.
Okay,
If I get the
let me
chance, I'll move to Japan.
let me let me finish my statement for a second. My question to you. Okay, we agree it has evolved in a negative way. The
Massive
landscape,
yes.
the landscape we're in right now. Do you feel women or yeah, I don't say women mostly has overcome the workforce, and this is their say or their say cry wolf if they get away with a fuck they one kind of thing. I know they want equal rights. I don't have a problem with the equal right workforce. Like at one point, kitchens, for example, there was over dominated with men. Okay, cool, whatever. Women want to cook. I have no problem with that. Like again, Mariana's a chef herself. I know some other women who are great fucking chefs, but you cannot be crying wolf every little thing. Go ahead. What are you
I,
gonna say?
I put like this. This crowd with everything. Remember what I said earlier. If every job I've been to, woman require wolf, I'll make sure I look. Remember that woman's face when her life is in danger, and she see me, and she call my name. I will act like I never knew her, nor if I ever she ever exists. I am walking past her and let it be. Any woman who wanna try that, every man to walk past that female if her life in danger. Let it be. Do you understand me? It's about time you should start doing things where it should be. Wash your hand off the situation. Stop saving these idiots. Let disaster hit them hardcore. Sit down, get your yawn chair, get your popcorn, get your drink, and watch the disaster happen. And when the cop asks you what happened, you just say you didn't see nothing.
Oh, I got a better one. I'm not even done. I'm just getting warmed up. The next story is you're gonna fall off your seat and you're going probably what the fuck have you been through, Pete? So after after out of one job before I went to St. Luke's, I worked for a company called Sidexo. Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, streamers, watchers, let me give you a little piece of advice. If you ever come across a company Sidexo, run the other way as fast as possible. They are the worst company to work for, or be a contract or any type of shape or way or form. So the company headquarters are out of France. That's your first problem. So I walked downstairs one day because we're in a university. The kids eat upstairs. The kitchen was in the bottom downstairs. You have an elevator bringing food. I walked downstairs to sous chef. Keyword: the sous chef fell. He's doing a line of below in the middle of my prep table. I go, okay, this is a problem. I already had a meeting with my director that day because one of the supervisors, she has made my life a living hell for one reason. And I go to her, listen, I understand you're sexually frustrated, but I am not interested. She wanted to sleep with me. She has literally blew up my phone in my face, says, you have two choices here. You can fuck me or you can make your life a living hell. I didn't want to, bang her because I'm for my own reason.
And you
Um,
have to record it to this day.
I didn't have those recordings. No, I didn't have my phone on me because I was cooking while this happening. Like, so I had gloves on. I couldn't let just, what I'm saying. And then I'm breaking a health violation. You're right. I should have my phone out. I'm not disagreeing with that. So I reported that and I reported the whole bullshit. Now she suspended me. I'm like, why? And I goes like, well, there are accusations are brought against you. Like, what the fuck? So they twisted the story around. Stuff. Now, here's the twister. Everybody don't understand. Everybody in that company is dating each other or married. Everybody is like knows somebody. Like I was a new person in the company, so I was like, oh fuck me. I
Pause.
was like, I'm sorry.
Pause.
Yeah. I when I heard everybody's married or dating or somebody, I was like, oh, this is gonna be. I need to get out of here. I need my exit plan immediately.
Sound like my old job.
No, I did not hit that old goke.
No, no, no. You don't understand. When I tell you
No,
my
no,
old job, I used to
this
work for a
comment.
big fashion company.
She still works for the company.
No, lady Navoy, he did not hit it because if he would have hit it, he would have still kept his job.
Yeah, probably.
He would have hit it to the point where he ended up turning into the chair, and she be hitting him, not other way around.
You're an asshole.
No, I'm serious because Estee Lauder, the Estee Lauder company, they had a policy you're allowed to date among yourself, and to me, that is a recipe for disaster. I have been the way I am since I was 18, 19 years old. I don't mix business with pleasure.
There you go. Right here.
Never.
Look down.
So Dexo,
Dexo is a messed up company. I'm not the only
look,
one saying it.
just the spelling alone, no, if something's wrong. No, put it back, put it back. So
Yeah,
Dexo,
sure.
put it back. You know about that thing? They name it that way because you don't know what the hell is going on. You move the OD, sexo. If you put it back, it look like Son of Gomorrah. It look like a nickname for Son of Gomorrah. That's exactly what it is. What does Sodexo mean anyway?
Fuck should I know? I don't give a
It
shit.
could be a pun intended of Sodexo. This the kind that we cook and we f.
Listen, I'll be straight up with you guys. I've been through kitchens, and there are a lot of fucked up kitchens. And Mariana's in the chat. She can vouch for this. There's a lot of bullshit that goes on in the kitchens. I'm not going to argue that part. I understand the bullshit in the kitchens. Anybody who's been in the kitchen who cooked, there are a lot of bullshit, drugs, and all that stuff. But I work for corporate companies, so I don't have to deal with that. I work for healthcare, so I don't have to deal with the bullshit. I go in, clock in, cook, do my thing, and get the fuck out. That's all I want. Is that too much to fucking ask? Is it? I'm like, what? Am I a goddamn fucking lamb chop on a platter? She wants to fucking eat me like fucking with sauteed onions and mushrooms on it? Fuck you, bitch.
She wants some Greek sausage. That's what she wants.
Yeah. Now that part doesn't it gets even twister now. So her friend, whatever you want to call it, Sean walked around with a rainbow laminate around his neck because we had to wear our badges. You know where I'm going with this, right, David? Right?
You see my hand on my face, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Before I get copyright strike the fucking get up on YouTube again.
Mm-hmm.
Let's be professional and respectful. I don't care about your sexual preference. That's your business, whatever. So at some point, he goes to ask me, why don't we just have a threesome? I go, this is getting fucking weird. And to me, I thought he was just fucking with me at the point because that's kind of broke the ice. Now he's joking about 3 or 4 days. I go, and a new manager comes in, a new supervisor. Can't remember his name for life depend. He was backing me up 100%. He said, this is bullshit. He went to management. He went to the director. And they still threw me under the bus because I didn't play ball with them.
No, keyword. Rephrase that. You didn't play ball with him. You didn't lend him your balls.
Yeah, good point. Now, here's the best part. When now HR, I'm suspended. My mother's going through her own, what she was going through at the time. She was doing a colonoscopy to make sure her cancer. I'm in in um in the hospital outside in a parking lot. Like her, she got her treatment going, doing her tests and everything. I'm on the phone with HR, going back and forth. I want like, well, maybe we care about your mother's health. For I'm like, bullshit. If you guys fucking cared about my mother's health, you would have actually had a conversation with me prior to me suspended. So go fuck yourself. I went to her. Not literally, I didn't say those words, but that's what I wanted to say. So she goes to me, well, Peter, she goes, I have to be very honest with you. Sometimes we have to look the other way at certain situations. Phil is actually a really good chef. I go, excuse me?
Wait. Look the other way. Look. What do you mean look the other way?
because he was doing a line of blow in the kitchen. They want to look the other way. They knew this was going on.
So he was.
Yep. You know how many times he came in back from the break reeking. I'm not nice smell. I mean reeking of fucking weed, and it was okay. Let's look the other way.
No, let me stop you there.
Go for it.
In two different jobs, I have that scenario happen. One, at UBS, we have a functioning alcoholic. He is not allowed to leave the staging room and deploy computer out on the floor because the end client will smell it off him and he would not only lose his job, he would have got us in trouble. That was one incident. The second incident, I was working with NYPD. This man was not only wasted and drunk. I did the only shift that allowed me to do Monday through Friday. I was in between the shift. I was in between the morning and the overnight shift. The guy would leave me on the weekend. The chief of police of the 911 call center located in the Bronx. You know what I mean, chief, the white shirt police officers, right?
Yeah, white shirts. We used to call them white shirts.
Came trying to wake this guy up. Couldn't wake him up. Something triggered him. He was smelling something off. He can't did not even come close enough. He could smell the level of alcohol off the body. I came the next day. My boy was telling me, "Oh, you know they let him go." Like who go? I don't know what they're talking about. So the guy was coming to relieve me off, and I see our boss came right behind and thinking him to come. And my dude who came to cover for him and to leave me, now we to work in Best Buy. Don't know how we got that job together. That's another story. He let me know. Oh yeah, I was told what happened. They let him go. I said, "Wow, what happened?" They say everybody, the Verizon group, the NYPD called to know about it. They found out he was passed out, drunk, smelling like alcohol as if he was a bum. And the chief of police was trying to wake this dude up. And he's not allowed on uh, on the floor, mind you. That type of bullshit I don't do well. And I've heard other part about Goldman Sachs were doing way more than blow. I'm not gonna mention who told me this, but if I hear they do that in Goldman Sachs, I'm like, I don't want to know with nobody. If I'm your tech, if you see me trying to get my job done, don't bother me. Leave me the F alone. Do not come to me. Hey, that do a you say three, so I'm thinking TLT, table, ladder, and chair. I power bomb you, I jackknife you, I give you the F5, I give you the F10, I choke slam you, I give you the last ride to hell,
F
and I
you.
finish it, and I finish it with the hidden blade, courtesy of Kenny Omega. No, not Kenny Omega. William Osprey. Yeah, I'm not. I'm glad you understand that.
No,
I'm a
Sesame
rest,
Street. That's why I was showing my tattoo.
I'm a wrestling fan, so
Fun
I want to give you the hidden blade,
side, a little
African
side
style.
note because you remember your story that you said with the white shirts. So I was in New York visiting my dad. I remember that one time we were supposed to meet up and we couldn't.
Hmm.
So we on a diner. These officers are coming in in white shirts, and I'm opening the door. I'm being polite, respectful, whatever. And they're arguing like, "You go first, no, you go first." Like, and I looked at him like, "Listen, I'm not gonna fuck with a white. I'm not gonna argue with a fucking white shirt." He turns around like, "Oh, you're an officer?" Like, no. Like, how do you know the white shirt term? Like, oh, I work in corrections. He goes, oh, I feel sorry for you. I'm like, yeah, I feel sorry for myself too.
Mm-mm.
But anyway, back on topic.
Correction, correction. I will never do it either. Cannot pay me enough to do correction.
We're gonna get to that story in a minute. This is a part of the story. We're not. That's not even half of it. We're getting to that story.
I don't know.
So,
You'll walk me into it.
oh, trust me. If I tell you what I went through in that job, you go tell me, how are you not in a psycho ward yet? And we'll get to that point in a minute. All right. So the thing that pissed me off the most about St. Luke's getting terminated, my manager, Bob, me and Bob worked together at one point at a different hospital, and his contract got terminated, so a different company came in, and when I saw his name, I'll be interviewed. Oh, I know this motherfucker, and he said the same thing to me when I saw him. So Bob was covering somebody for over 20 years for several type of sexual harassment. Now, what they gave him so many chances. The company sent him for rehab. They sent him to therapy. They did everything. Now, what pretty much killed his career at that company was two things. A old lady, don't want to mention her name. He was pinching her leg. She's in her 80s. He's in probably in his 50s. On top of that, I was with my ex at the time, and he made a comment, and I was there and heard of it. The comment was said was, "Oh, I'm gonna fuck her, and she's gonna sit. She has no choice. If I don't, I'm gonna get her fired." I flipped the fuck out. So when everybody was pointing complaints against him, there were too many complaints. The HR could not look the other way like they usually do. So Bob fought that tooth and nail, back and forth, back and forth. Come on, give him a second chance, give him a second chance. Like, and HR, I was literally in the office doing paperwork when I heard this, and he said to Bob, like, "This is enough. We have given him multiple chances. He is done." He goes to him, "Can he at least keep his benefits?" She stopped and looked at him like, "Under one condition, he needs to resign today. That's the only way he would keep his benefits." And he did that actually, and well, let's put it this way: he works down the street from my house at a dead end job, pretty much now. Go ahead, Dave. I know you have something to say.
So you will tell me a good for nothing, no spine having company will defend a career perv for over what, 20 years?
Bingo. Not the company. Not the company. The director. And this same director could not protect me for parking next to somebody. How ironic is that?
So I wonder if you would protect the same guy if that same guy raped his daughter. How about that? Now I'm just being
Ooh.
vicious. I'm just being vicious right now. I'm being cutthroat vicious. I know I shouldn't think that way. I shouldn't say that. But you don't understand how I have an issue with leadership. I cannot call it leadership. There are two definitions. You have leaders and you have boss. There's a huge majority of people in management position. They are bosses. They never was leader to begin with. And I get sick and tired seeing these so-called leadership class, whereby 80% of your management are bosses. They're not leaders. They don't go by example. So I don't comprehend that ignorance behind that.
You know how many chefs I work for that sit back and do their paperwork in the office and don't give a shit? You drown, you drown. That's the only way you're gonna learn. They say. You know
I'm
how many
glad you.
chefs start throwing stuff at you?
I can't see
People.
myself working in that type of environment because believe me, you,
Sometimes you
if
don't have a
you
choice,
see
Dave.
how if you see how I walk around my job in most places, some people consider me a walking threat or a big teddy bear, depending on how you see me. Most cases, it's a walking threat because I can be very intimidating. If you see me in my past job lifting a 500-pound cage full of equipment in there, and I lift it out of anger, frustration, I couldn't push it through the door. I just, and we adjusted. Anyone who have worked with me have given me nickname Black Hulk, Walking Disaster. They call me that guy from the Black Panther, who the chief of the Gorilla Clan. I laugh about it,
No.
but I understand why they call me that. Yes, I'm a walking threat. I'm not an earthquake, but I can make earthquake with somebody's body part by body slam them. by power bomb them, by jackknifing. I'm sorry, I'm pure African. I like to be a savage when I can. It's a great release to find somebody go up in the air, you slam them down like 90 miles an hour, you hear the ground shake, you hear them, ooh, and they realize not to fuck with you ever again. And do it again and again and again with a smile on your face and let them know the next time I get you, maybe multiply by two.
So this one is gonna really piss you off now. This has been going on for off and on for 2 years for me. So I was trying to get my old job back at the hospital before I went to St. Luke's. All right, I knew it was the same company running Sodexo, but with the hospital, you work directly for the hospital as a union member, not your management to be Sodexo. I went through the interview process. I went everything goes. I'm just going to find the right position for you. Yada yada. Did the background, did everything to the T. Nothing wrong. I get a phone call one day by the chef. His name's John, by the way. Jamaican African American guy, right? And he goes to me, Peter, I'm not gonna go with you. I decided to go with somebody else. I'm like, oh, that's fine, chef. I go, may I ask why? And so I can make myself better. He goes, you can't fix this, unfortunately. Why not? I go to him. Because I only hire black people, he goes to me. Go ahead, David. I see the smoke coming out of your ears now.
Can you repeat that last statement nice and slow?
He said to me, he only hires black people.
I'm a full-blooded African guy. I am the purest of black you can ever find.
Really? I couldn't tell.
No filter, no ounce of whiteness in me or Cherokee like some people want to claim. None of that in me. When I hear such a thing like that, two things come to mind. Is that the guy abusing his power because he feel like he want to go around that way because I get it. Black people have been discriminated, but in this present age and you do I'm only hire black. Last I checked the applicants and say I'm just want to go hire black people. I'm not trying to be a racist right here, but if anything, anyone want to talk about being black? We're the pure black, but we don't call ourselves black. We call ourselves Africans. And all this words shout about who is not black enough, nigga, please. If I want to be racist right now, African American are two-third or three-third black. They're not purely black to begin with. They're not of the highest quality. So I don't know why I want to talk about who is black enough. So let's stop that bullshit right now. Let's now remind you 2019 on CNN when the Trump whisperer Van Jones read out the paperwork according to the Department of Labor and Department of Education. They said the most highly educated ethnic group are Nigerian American. If you feel offended, come get some. I'm beyond sick and tired of these ignorance. I thought it's all about merit. I thought it's all about who is qualified for the position, not about race. Anyone who have worked with me will tell you I don't give two shit about race. If you can get the job done, you're on my team. I was a lead tech, I was a supervisor a couple of times. I'll fight for anybody who I believe need to be back on my team. If you ain't shit, then you ain't shit for real. These type of conversations, I try not to go Wolverine time 10. Yeah, I'm a Canadian born. TBN, Canadian born Nigerian. I try not to lose it, but it 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 not get under my skin. It get in my blood vessel. I'm a workaholic. I like to be around hardworking people. I don't like to be around assholes who throw the weight away and can't even do shit at all. And when I hear that, the business they run with, is it a black-owned business or is it a public hospital?
This is the public hospital.
Okay, public hospital.
They
Where
are
did
known. I'll give it the name of the company. Is Lehigh Valley Health Network. They recently got bought out by Jefferson Health Network.
and Jeffrey Health? It's some kind of black company.
I'm not sure. I know they're out of Philly.
I don't really know. I really don't understand. I don't know. But stuff like this, I've been told I can't fight against. I just need to avoid. I know that I understand. I need to avoid it, but still, it makes my skin crawl. Let me keep it real. I have a disdain for stupid people. I have a disdain. That right there is just, man, this topic. I don't know how I can do this topic without losing my cool because it's so unethical on many levels. It's so
Which part?
irrational. Man, I might have to do some push-ups. I need to do 200 push-ups or something just to calm myself down.
See, here's the
I have
fucked
to.
up part, David. I've been turned down from jobs from experience. Okay, or turned down from job not having the right skill set for that position. I get that, but never in my life till now I got turned down for being, ready for this, a Greek white American.
This called woke employment. They're trying to be woke. What? You want to say you don't know how to cook collard greens and rice? You know how to bathe the turkey? Is that what you're looking for in the hospital? I'm sorry. This the Brooklyn side coming out of me right now. That's why I have not shown to you on the black YouTube street because I had to deal with lame ass Texas jokes who got no weight. I need to be back to being the brutal Brooklyn kind of guy I used to be. When I roast their ass so goddamn bad, they disappear from the neighborhood. They don't show their face no more. But this, I really don't comprehend. I really don't. It's hard to comprehend, hard to rational. I can't hire you because you're black. You're not black.
Yep. Remember when we were on BMU show and everybody says you don't know what you're talking about because you're not black or you're not this, you're not that.
No, I remember what I've been told. I can't talk about this issue because I'm African. Fuck you. I'm sorry. They didn't enslave us. They enslaved your dumb ass. Now I'm being vicious. Now I'm being brutal. Let's not forget, come to this country. And throughout my elementary school days, I've been called African booty scratchers by the same folks. But I'm sorry. You were 10 times smaller, you black dumbasses. Hmm?
So, David, let me ask you a question here. How well do you think you know me?
Well enough so I won't break somebody else's faces.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. I want an unfiltered and straight opinion from you.
Hmm.
After everything you heard about me, and you knew most of his backstory before tonight anyway.
Hmm.
Do you think, because I was being called a racist too, am I a racist?
If you're a racist, I'm a dictator.
Fucking asshole. I'm trying to be serious, not make fucking jokes.
I'm being blunt about it. If you are a racist, then I must be the dictator. I'm gonna be bullying people in every neighborhood. Cause you, I know you well enough, but you know what? I had to swallow my tongue and shit. I could have gone ballistic, especially a couple of some dumbass old winkle ass broads a few years ago. Yes, I did say that. I'm sorry.
Freedom
I
of
would have been
speech.
touch. I would have been touched with you dildo if I could.
Ew. What?
Oh, I'm going in. This is Brooklyn style. In Brooklyn, we roast your ass until we destroy your freaking self-esteem. Now, me, I don't even stop there. I go for your self-esteem. I go for your ego. I go for your pride. I go for your foundation until there's nothing left in you. Then I take your goddamn soul,
So
like
that's not
transform.
the end of the story.
There's
So
more. There's
after
more,
that,
right?
yeah, I went to a company called Emmark. I worked with Emmark out several times. Never had a bad experience. I might have some dumbass chefs, but that's any job. You agree so far?
Hmm.
This woman, she was terminated, but she made my life a living fucking hell because I was in corrections. I need to scream at the inmates. I'm not screaming at them. I'm going to talk to them human beings. My job was never being a CO or a correction. My job was to be a supervisor at the kitchen staff. So I realized now she's throwing the N word around me. Are you a stupid X, Y, and Z? The C word. Oh yeah, and back and forth. She goes, and when I told her, listen, the job's not paying me enough for this bullshit. I'm gonna find a new job. No, you're not. Like, yeah, I am actually. She tells me, you know what the job pays. You only drive 8 minutes. I drive 2 hours to go to work every day. That's your fucking problem, not mine. So it was going back and forth. When I quit, they abused this woman so bad. And it was, she said it to my face and to her right before I left. Only people who will be managers here are my own kind. I went, what? I went like, you know what? I don't need any of this shit. I'm not even gonna bother with HR stuff. I'm just gonna finish my last 2 days.
And what's
I
her
get it.
race?
Guess.
Don't tell me she's black.
Yes, she is. Out of Philly.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's a Philly 304 thought.
I'll put it this way. If she does a cannibal, how big she is, we're probably gonna be in the dark ages again.
Would she look like she weighed 400 pounds?
Yeah.
So they're the kind that a particular person say they'll throw a hog dog down the hallway,
I'll put it this way. She had a slight heart attack at the job site. All right. Wasn't a serious heart attack, a slight heart attack.
and they
All right.
didn't roll her down and didn't roll her down the hill to see how many times she was spin.
The white coats, those are the CEOs, supervisors. They're still responsible for my safety. They're never in the kitchen. Literally 10 inmates versus one guy. I was
Hmm.
lucky enough to have most of the inmates were respectful of me because I worked with them. I helped them. I wasn't the
You know,
one who screamed at them.
you know the funny thing?
Hmm.
If I was in your shoe and the inmate know who I am and they're cool with me and they don't like her,
I know where you're going. I was not going to do that. I know where you're going. Fuck you, asshole. I know where you're going with this. So hang on, before you get ahead of me. All right. So I come in the building. before I go even clock in, is a couple of the officers goes to me, "Hey, clock in and go to the white shirt's office. They want to speak to you." Fuck. Well, okay. I went through it. I clocked in and went down there. I go, "Yo, what's up?" He goes, like, I got a little nervous. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? He goes, you don't even be nervous, you're not in trouble. So Kia had a little heart attack. That's her name. I go, how serious is it? Like, we don't know. But to be honest with you, um, to be straight up with you, karma bit her in the ass because she treated a lot of people like shit. A lot of employees, nobody wanted to work for her. Her previous supervisor before, her previous assistant manager was sleeping with the
Mhm.
inmates in the freezer. She was picking which inmate to fuck that day. You know how illegal that is, David?
I know. I've seen on the news a
Yeah.
couple of times.
Hey,
What
time out a
happened was
second.
certain people sleep with
Yeah,
the
before you
inmates.
turn. All right, guys, he's been on vacation. He's finally back. Let's get his intro. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you to rise and salute the president. Mr. President, welcome back.
Thank you guys. Well, I was back since Sunday, so
Well,
it's not
this is
like
the
that.
first time you're back on this show.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So, we had to give you the proper intro.
Mhm.
Before I get you in, Paul, David, finish your poll, your thought, and I'll get Paul in here next.
My thing is this: I could not understand that, but to hear that going on in Pennsylvania, and these people are being bold about it.
I know. I know. Paul, how much did you catch on the show so far?
Not much. Not much. Just signing off.
So we're talking about that the experience we've been through our jobs. Women
Mhm.
have the upper edge sometimes, not always. You claiming false statements like, "Oh, he touched me when he really didn't," kind of thing, or like in my case, I parked next to somebody. Remember that kid I told you about that a long time ago, and I got
Yeah.
fired for park. Example of that. I know me and you kind of spoke that on private on phone calls, and you have your own theories behind that. You want to give your two thoughts really fast?
Trying to remember the context of that conversation.
You say you never get in an elevator with any women by yourself before.
No, I mean these days, I certainly think with the current culture, I just try to be a little bit wiser in terms of how I move. Now, the place that I currently work at right now is about 75% women. So purposefully, I don't put myself in situations where I'm one on one. In fact, and it's not even, I wouldn't say it's recent, even probably ever since I've been married. I was just taught early on that you just don't want to find yourselves in compromising situations with women. So if you can avoid it, don't be in a car with a woman one on one. A group is fine, or multiple. If there's multiple women in the car, no problem. But just try to avoid one on one situations, personally or professionally, that could be either looked at or deemed as inappropriate. So I've always been a little bit conservative when it comes to those matters. But again, sometimes it can't be helped. I mean, most of my professional career, in fact, even before I was a professional, most of my management has been women. So to an extent, I'm pretty comfortable with it. But certainly, just given recent years with, with Me Too, or with just the culture where people are trying to be more sensitive. I just really try to um, you know just conduct myself in a way that just keeps everything public and open. And but that's something, like I said, that stuff I was given almost 30 years ago. That when it comes to, if you have to have a business meeting with a woman or whatever, have it in a public place, like public restaurant or a coffee shop or something like that. Never one on one. Never be in a car with someone. In fact, a lot of times, especially as a black man, certainly given the Karen incidences that have happened in the last few years, maybe again my sensitivity has got a little more heightened to where, let's just say, if it's at nighttime and it is I'm walking somewhere and there's a white woman who is also walking on the same street or with, not to me, sometimes I walk on the other side. There are times when I'm walking up a flight of stairs. I may not go either. I'll try to go first and get ahead of her and just move up quickly, or I will wait until she gets up like a flight or two before I go on the same stairwell. Because, because I've seen in the past when I've done that, women almost subconsciously, they kind of just assume that you're looking up their skirt or their butt or something to that effect. Hey, salute, Wally. Good to see you tonight. So I just, I give myself that extra space where, also just given my size, I think there is a reality that, without knowing me, people may look at me a certain way and whatnot. So it depends on, again, especially with white women, especially, I really try to kind of keep my distance in certain respects, and just with women in general, try to avoid uh, settings. Whereas again, if it's one on one, unless it's in a public place. So those are just things that I do. But generally, through my work history and experience, really haven't had many difficulties working with women, or at least not to the same extent as men. Because also in a corporate setting, even when you, as a black man, even though you're working with white men or men of other ethnicities, again, there's a way that oftentimes you have to conduct yourself in certain ways where you don't feel like you're intimidating people. So I really work on, you know, maintaining a calm tone and just the way how I conduct myself at all times. Because I recognize that in certain situations I can't afford to be sometimes as expressive or emotional as others, because I don't think it'll be received the same way. That's just something that I kind of code switch on, and I'm pretty comfortable with it at this time. So I don't give it any more thought than that. But I just be mindful that unless I'm around people who I really know very well, um, I carry myself in certain ways.
That is very good advice, I think, Paul, because you have to carry yourself a little different when you're at work. And I'm not saying you cannot meet somebody at work. And like, I'm not mistaken, Paul. Correct me if I'm jog my memory. You met your wife through one of your old jobs, correct?
I did. So that was the interesting thing about it, because it was again at that time. Again, this was before a lot of those things, but interesting. The person, how I um, how I started dating my wife was a coworker of hers insisted that I take her out. So it was definitely the sort of. Plus, it was a fairly big place. I think you also have to be mindful depending on the size. If you are back in the day, in fact, we met at like old AT&T company. So if you're like, thousands of employees, big corporate campuses where you could be on one side of the campus and not even know anybody. So I think in that situation, it was a little easier to navigate, because, it wasn't like you were working with this person in a professional capacity. See, that I don't know if I would have even done that if we worked in the same group or under the same management or what have you. We would have had to be very careful about that. And certain companies have different policies. Now, some companies I've worked at, they've had policies to say, look, if you want to date, it's best that they don't encourage it. But if you do, it's best to inform your manager that you are or intend to date. But in some cases, it's just frowned upon altogether. So, but again, since we worked in totally different areas of the company, we didn't think it would be an issue. But even like I said, even in non-work settings, there have been times, for example, where like I do a lot of IT stuff for my church and whatnot, and there was situations where they wanted me to work with a woman who may work with some of the AV stuff, and I just told them straight out, like, I'm not comfortable with a one-on-one setting. Again, if people are in in the church, in the environment or whatnot, yeah, but one-on-one and nobody else around, I'm just not comfortable in a lot of those situations. Even like I said, in a professional setting, more times than not, I prefer an open public place or where there's people around. But I never want to be one on one with a member of the opposite sex under most circumstances. Like I said, work wise or non-work wise, that's just something I've just been very cautious about for most of my adult life.
And you have all the right to be, because you don't know what the hell is going to happen. Um, like, I know I've been to jobs that didn't encourage dating, but if it does, it says something. Just let your manager know. But you have
Yeah,
to be in it's two different departments. Let's say I'm in a dietary, and one is a nurse, for example, or one is a CNA or assistant or whatever the case is. You cannot be in the same department, and definitely cannot be your management.
right,
Like,
right.
but again, people always find a way to break the fucking rules. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, and and some of this is almost inevitable. I mean, you think about it. If you're in a work environment, you're probably looking your best in terms of your appearance. You're going to spend most of your time, around individual on a daily basis. I've seen several work husbands and wives, even though a lot of these folks are married or in relationships themselves. But I'm just amazed. So, people go for like cigarette breaks and whatnot, and they're just chatting away, and you can kind of tell they're sharing, personal stuff. It to some extent, it's almost inevitable that that these kind of things just naturally happen. In these environments. But I mean, I've had offers like people, would go for like walks around lunchtime. There's like we used to have one of my old jobs had like a campus track. You could walk around, exercise or whatnot, on your lunch break or whatever, or in the afternoon breaks. And people have offered, it's like, hey, I'm going out. You want to come with me? Women, and I found a way to find a reason not to go. Because it's not like I didn't like the person or that, we would have conversation office, at the cubicle or whatever, or in the course of, doing business or whatnot. Again, you're going to be cordial, you're going to have conversations, but again, how it looks to me is something that I was always conscious about, again, especially given that I am a black man. And like I said, a lot of times, even today, some people may disagree, but a lot of respects, you just can't operate and move the way some other people move. And I'm just very, like I said, I'm just very conscious of that. How I can, everything is like above board. So I'll go over and above in terms of, and it shows like, in terms of my evaluations, in terms of how I do things or whatnot. I've always kind of gotten high praise for how I conduct myself, never kind of get exploded anybody or have, I've been able to keep my emotions relatively calm,
In check.
almost Vulcan
In
in
check, in
terms
other
of
words.
how I go about things because, I just know that sometimes we're judged by a different standard. So,
David, go ahead.
When he mentioned that, I got to think of all the corporate buildings I have worked in that is huge, that have over 1,000 plus employees and then some. And I got to think about all these so-called cigarette breaks. The GM building, if you have seen the building, it's huge, right? What I saw there working with the Estelada is this, I had to act like I was a nun or something, or a priest, trying to avoid every subtle temptation, so to speak. I saw the same thing happen in Chase Bank. No, not Chase Bank, UBS. UBS did the same thing. You had some of these female workers were trying to throw themselves on the text for no apparent reason. God forbid you're a big, strong man and you try to ignore them, they keep coming. Every time you ignore their advances, Paul will tell you, those type of environment, it seems like you becoming a challenge. I'm going to get them. I'm going to get them.
I have a better
You
one.
ignore them
I got a
all you
better one for
want.
you. If they see you have a ring on your finger, it's like your prey. Like a shark, dun 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 dun, and they won't stop.
Sharks.
For some reason, I
You mean
don't get
killer
this.
whales.
I don't get this. And I asked this question in multiple different streams with you on. I think you were not on that one stream. I asked, why do women always go after married men? And Ray said is because his opinion, of course, it is. That's something they cannot have. Paul, you've been married what 30 years now, right?
I'm in my 28th season.
I'm probably 28. And be honest with me, and I know you will be no matter what. As you're a married man, has there ever been a chance like say a woman is trying to hit on you, but I know you by now is I am getting the fuck out of that situation before it turns bad. But
there's been a couple of occasions. I think, like I said, the fact that I kind of keep myself at distance, a lot of times I don't allow it doesn't even get there. So again, I definitely play prevent when it comes to that thing. Even I remember early on, it would be like, let's say if I did meet a woman um in a bookstore or something like that, and there was a conversation had or whatever, the first thing I would do when I get home, I tell my wife, say, hey, I met this woman, and it was we were talking over a book or whatever, and she had some information, and so I would just share, my wife and I, we were very good at sharing, like if someone hit on my wife at the gym or whatever, she would tell me that somebody, was at gym trying to kick it to her or whatever. So I would do similar, or let's say if it was somebody who I knew from before I met my wife, either someone I may have, a friend of mine, or someone we might have went out a couple times or whatever, and she just saw me as, hey, how you doing? Hey, just caught up. Yeah, I'm married now, and this and that, yada yada. And when I get home, I tell my wife, hey, I ran into this old, this person I knew from a few years ago. And just like I said, I just kept short accounts on everything when it came to that. But as far as, I haven't been necessarily approached in the way David's doing is talking about, as far as, okay, they see the ring and they keep coming at me and whatnot. I haven't seen women that aggressive, but I am conscious, for example, like when a woman touches you, you know what I'm saying? It's like you're talking or whatnot, and it's like giggle, whatever, and she kind of puts your hand on your shoulder or touches your back or something, or, like, I don't flip out. That's like, hey, I don't go there. But in my mind, I'm saying, okay, she's a little handsy. And so I don't want to feed anything that she may be doing, but at the same time, I don't want to blow it up and say, hey, that's my private space. I appreciate it. Like, I've never told a woman not to touch me, but again, I'm careful. In fact, it just happened recently at a corporate Christmas party, and we, everybody was fraternizing or whatnot. So I think I was getting a non-alcoholic beverage. And again, there was a woman there, and she, talked a little bit. Hey, how you doing? Whatever. My name's Paul. I work for IT or whatnot. And she just, kind of just put her hands on me, just on my shoulder, on my arm, stuff like that or whatever. And I just, again, in my mind, I just said, okay, I'm not gonna feed into this or what have you. And I just kind of politely ended the conversation. I just kind of went about my business. So so I can't say I've been directly hit on in the capacity that I know other guys have been hit on in that way. But to answer even your question is why women go after married guys, I think it's goes a little. I think certainly because they can't have it is one thing, but I think it is part of, you are oftentimes what they ultimately want. That you are stable, that a woman decides to invest in you and trust you that way, that is something that they openly crave. And if they can't get it, in the singles market, they see you, it's almost like you're kind of like a sure bet. And in some instances, they think it's even sure because obviously you want to protect, and have your space so you can probably operate discreetly. Let's say if you did decide to entertain one of these women who's hitting on you or whatever, or carry on something or whatever, that, you're going to be, protective of your home life. You're not going to be sloppy with it. So that could be another reason why a lot of some of these women decide to go for the married guys, because they know it's like it's not going to go too far with it. They're gonna have their life, whatever, and then they know what their role in that situation is going to be. But I think the idea of seeing a stable man, a man who can commit, because I've heard women over the years say, yeah, he won't commit. But obviously, seeing a committed man who's walking in certain ways or whatever, that you have integrity. Yeah, I can certainly see how a woman could be attracted to that, even though you're technically off the market, but you represent an ideal that she wished that she had. So I can certainly see that's the reason why they would, some women would at least find it attractive. If whether they decide to go after it or not is another story. But you know, I listen. I 100% agree with that. I'm not making excuses for it. I'm just saying, but at the same time, I can understand it. And just because I understand it, that doesn't mean I make an excuse for it. But yeah, you're absolutely
Listen,
right.
I've been in
No
those
excuse for that.
situations myself, and I always turn them down. Like if I have a hint they're flirting with me, it's like, oh, whoa, 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 you do not want to go that bark up that tree because my girl is gonna rip your fucking head off like a goddamn watermelon. I always warn them like that. I'm just being straight up with you guys, and it's she will never know. Kind of like, oh yeah, she will. Like one thing I've been always honest in all my relationship. I'm not starting to lie because when you're going down that rabbit hole, you never get out of it.
Hmm.
Or am I wrong, Paul?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, it's just not worth it. Because again, especially with emotions, again, even if you entertain a little bit, again, you don't know how the other person is going to take it. You could be like, because I know some guys are just flirty like that. Also, they just like to, even though they're off, they like to play that flirty game also, and for them it's fun and games. But you don't know what it's going like for the other person. If they start falling for you or feeling you like that, then those are things that can get real dicey. And there have been women that had, you can just talk to them a little bit. You can tell, like, but if there was like another reality, like if I was single, yeah, I'd kick it to them. I'd ask for the digits, or I would ask for, hey, what you doing, after hours or whatever. And again, I'm talking about only women who are outside of my department or in my immediate workspace or whatever. Yeah, and I think sometimes you could even tell, even in a conversation, like we have like this common kitchen area, so I might be in there making something or getting some tea or coffee or whatever, and you just kick a little bit, and there's something you just tell there's a vibe there. You recognize there's a vibe, but that being said, it's like, no, like I said, I'm not entertaining this, but you can tell sometimes it's the way they look at you, if they smile at you, you know, in certain ways, how their voice is. Their voice can get very soft or sensual, or in maybe a higher octave or whatever. I mean, you could tell when somebody's kind of like, yeah, if this was an alternate reality, yeah, I could say, hey, would you mind getting together sometimes, grab some coffee? Yeah. I mean, but like I said, that's not my reality. So again, I don't entertain it more, over that. That doesn't mean I'm rude. That doesn't mean, again, I won't have a light banter conversation. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what department you working? Hey, boom, boom, boom. Hey, nice meeting you. I'll see you around. Boom, done. It's like, no, I don't want to have lunch with you sometime at the break. I don't want to, I don't want to go on a walk with you. I don't want to get I don't smoke, but if there's cigarette breaks, no, I don't want to do that either. It's just, hey, nice seeing you, enjoy the rest of your day kind of thing. And I just keep it moving. So again, I'm always friendly in that regard, but I don't let it go any where beyond that.
So one thing I want to mention, you said work wife and work husband. There's some people that are just really good friends and they're always hanging out, and that's nothing wrong with that, But sometimes it goes beyond just being friends too. I know Sturdish who fly. I might be pronounced the title wrong. I apologize. So I knew a few of them that do, or those, they're on planes. They're with female and male. They travel a lot with their, and they say, "Oh, that's my work wife," but it's not really their work wife. It's their, booty call when I work because they travel half the year.
Yeah. But in even that context, in a lot of respects, it makes sense to a degree. I mean, because if you're a stewardess, steward or stewardess, you're talking about. So
Yes, thank you.
even then, it's like that kind of profession. It's hard to maintain a relationship. It's not like you got someone back home that that you have that kind of relationship with. Again, for a lot of these people, they spend more time together in a work environment than they do their own private life or their home environment. And so again, I think it's just natural in the course of business. And especially, don't forget, I mean, now most stewardess I know, I'm like, I've seen some ones that they used to hire you as a stewardess based on in a large part about how you looked. But the bottom line is, it's like, again, when you have attractive people, stuff's gonna, you can't stop that. Like you said, when we talked about on Sunday, the cruise ship I'm on. I'm like, look, you're on the seas for like weeks at a time. So,
I was about to bring that up now.
so I'm saying, so again, it's gonna be, David, what are you doing?
That's the airline business, okay?
so,
Is that the Black David airline?
No, I hear a lot of crazy to how, for some apparent reason, some of these guys are dealing with stewardesses who are kind of a little too over flirty, or they're giving them a hint based on the plane they're on because there's a little secret place where they can join the My High Club.
yeah, I'm not saying that doesn't that doesn't happen, but I just think that is to a degree is natural when you have younger people full of estrogen and testosterone. You're attractive people, and you're in a space for hours at a time, days at a time, weeks at a time, months at a time. Even
Other words,
military,
other words,
the
your flight
bunkers
is
and
over 22 hours and everybody is knocked out. That's the best time. That's what you're trying to say.
yeah, I'm just saying it's some of that stuff is unavoidable. You just want to keep it in check to a degree. You want to move in certain ways, but I just think that there's a naturalness that comes to that. But even the whole work husband thing, I don't now again, I'm not even talking about it in the context of you're having like an emotional affair. I'm talking about it more as much, and that can happen too. I'm talking more so in the context of sharing information that you may not need to be sharing because it's bound. And I've seen people talking. You got your husband, you got your wife, your wife, your kids, and I'm like, why does this person need to know about certain details about my spouse? Or about the argument we had the other day, or about this, or where we going, or how he thinks. I mean, I just think there's certain information that's like, that you don't need to know. You want to ask me a question or about what's going on with me, that's one thing. But you don't need to be all like knowing what my wife does or how she thinks or how she does this or that or whatever. So I think that as a married person, I just think that just there's certain information that is generally uh off limits. But when you're spending, again, some people in excess, you're spending. I've seen people at work, they spend lunch together. Then those afternoon breaks, sometimes 2 or 3 afternoon 15-20 minute breaks in the cafeteria. And y'all talking about this or that. Or I'm like, y'all just can't be talking about work all the time. So I'm just saying, like, does it get to a point where, if you and your wife are having marital problems or whatever, I don't know if other person needs to know about that. I mean, what benefit could they necessarily give you in that time? And sometimes it's in those times when you might be struggling or stressed out because of your situation, and that person's like, "Oh, poor baby," and that kind of thing. You start feeling certain things, and it just opens up. You just open yourself up to certain things. So I'm just saying,
I'm gonna add to that. That mostly happen when you have people who have bad marriages, and when they come to work and go to further notice, they sometimes show it on their facial expression, depending on how they operating or I'm trying to figure out how they say it. They say that at your job in the corporate sector, women can know when you're having a bad marriage because based on your facial expression that you showcase. And sometimes they have a way of creeping to your business, little side conversation before you know that you start asking about what happened at home, why you looking like that, you don't you look like this before, why you so worked up, why you so agitated. You know how you say butter them up? You
Hmm.
you put I can't believe it's not butter on it.
Mhm.
Where the drum roll? Come on, Ghost. Wow.
Yeah.
You left me hanging.
Yeah.
But I see that a lot.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I'm not gonna lie, it became a culture for the last 2 decades, whereby people are sharing their home business in their job because there's no break for them, or they feel like they can't get nothing done right, or how would I say this? If you're
Let's
working
say it.
long hours, if you're working long hours, and for some period reason you are the beck and call of your manager or your partner manager, and you have a deadline. I think Paul understand what I mean by that. And sometimes you can't go home your regular hour. You have to
Yeah.
stay
You
behind
that. Yeah.
and get the thing done, but your job is on the line because depending on, let's say you know, for a big fashion corporation, there's a deadline for a promotion they put out there. If you're not getting it done, that could cost your job. What do you think happened in those type of environment? Then the woman who never been in the corporate realm, that thinking, oh, he just cheat, but not realizing he shut the hell out. So you have colleagues who don't end up being colleagues no more. They cross the boundary because of the amount of hours they spend together, long hours working on different projects, kind of thing. That
Yeah.
happened in the banking sector, happened in the fashion sector. It happened in I'm not sure in the PR. Banking, fashion, maybe the health industry. I doubt that will be the case. I think we know two, fashion and banking. I
Mhm.
don't know about the media company, but even though we saw some of the expose that happened, some big things like CBS, NBC, Fox. I don't know how it got to that level, but you get what I'm coming from, right, Paul?
Yeah. Yeah.
And we are tech. Sometimes we don't want to be passing by and be like, talking my
Yeah.
own business.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. Like I said,
Paul Jordan, when I'm telling you,
I go to
you
the kitchen. I go
you
to the
trying to mind
kitchen
your
area
business
just to
and you
do
just
my
caught on
thing.
something and you're like, okay, not
Yeah.
my
I keep
concern.
keep it
Just
moving. Next. Keep it moving. I didn't see nothing. No habla inglés. No,
see,
I,
Paul
I don't
understood
see
that.
nothing, man. Yeah.
I
And that
think
would be,
also we have to also watch how we look because they can turn that around too on us.
let me tell you something. Estee Lauder, that headquarter is a nightmare to me.
Why is that?
Okay, it's mostly about almost 70% women, almost 80% women, then 20% men. Now, they wear their business outfit, but some go with a little twist of it. For example, you wear a business suit, a woman business suit probably be looking appropriate, right? I'm not trying to see the crack of your behind and you see your thong saying, "How you doing? I'm your new target," kind of thing
Yeah. There's
going on.
no. Yeah. None of the. None of the HR when it comes to business to dress attire is at least on the women's side that I've seen is never followed. In
Never.
fact, they don't even talk about it. The only thing you get a sheet. You get an HR sheet that talks about dress code. Okay, so you shouldn't be wearing sandals or flip flops to work. You shouldn't wear things that are revealed.
But
But again, it's just
but
stated.
but
Like
but here's the
nobody's the
but here's
Don't
the
scariest
thing.
thing
enforce
that
it.
you can do, I'm just saying as a manager or whatever, the
Mhm.
scariest thing that you can do, especially if you're a male manager, is to call a woman into the office and say, "Look, your dress code is
Inappropriate.
not that is probably the most dreaded conversation that you
You
would ever
think
want to have
you
with a
think
female employee that, you
Wait,
know,
you
hang on a
think
second. I'll give you a better example, Paul. One of my kitchens, my director, the person who runs the whole building, she dressed most inappropriate person ever.
that's nothing.
that's easy. I mean, I'm
That's nothing.
saying when
That's nothing.
you are in authority and you have people under you and you in that situation again, imagine her supervisor that they do not want to have, even if it's another woman, they don't even want to have that
I
conversation.
got I got something better for you guys. Since you're talking about this topic, this concerning with An Inc. I used to work with. That's the first fashion company I worked with. Imagine a company that the dress code for these women is dress how they feel like they're at home. You have a manager wearing booty shorts. Let that sink in. This is NE. The population that one is almost 80-90% women, 10 to 20% men. One manager wearing booty short, going way up, you can see the under butt cheek. Another woman wearing a completely see-through blouse, meaning you seen a whole brazil and everything, and she's heavily gunded.
Mm.
And you got this one with a see-through blouse, transcend, transparent, it's translucent. You got this one wearing this, you got this one that. So how you think I was doing? I had to walk this way, look straight, don't look left, don't look right. If I see the image in my way, I had to look upward. I'm talking to a female end user. If she
Look her in
had
the eyes.
no
Look her in the eyes.
uh uh
Do
uh
not
uh
do
uh
not let your gaze go down.
Paul, ladies and gentlemen, be Paul out of this. I know you would say look in the eye. Take my advice. If you're a young technician and she is exposing, do not look her in the eye either. Look up. Try to act like you're trying to pick the information off your head. And you explain to her, glance her eye, go back up. Do it that way. Because when you glance her eye, she'll give you the eye to look down further. No, keep looking up. What do you mean look at her
Well, you
eye?
chose to look down.
No, I didn't look down.
You chose to
My
look.
my
You said she
coworker,
gave you the eye to look down, right?
my
Don't take the
coworker.
bait.
This is
Don't
my
take the bait.
coworker. This is my coworker. I'm looking up, explain the situation. As I look back down again, and she's not giving the signal, I look back up again, explain the situation, and look at her eye. Here's what happened at UBS. True story. I got called into the room. There was a network issue. The machine's not getting logged in whatsoever. Okay, what did I do? Normally, you put the back away, which she did. Let me go underneath the desk, look for the port so I can find the actual port number and switch it to the cabinet, right? The closet. And see why should I get no connection, right? I first check to make sure. Let me put the cable in, look behind the machine, and make sure it is showing connectivity or not. If it's showing connectivity, then something could be going wrong. Maybe there is network connectivity, maybe there's something with our login. So I'm checking the port, I'm checking the connectivity behind the machine. I gotta make sure it's not loose. So as I'm trying to come back out, I'm trying to get out. She didn't get up from the chair. She opened her leg wide open. What did she advertise when I'm underneath the table? Hmm. Now, me getting caught off guard with that thing, I banged my head on underneath the table real hard. I was shocked. It's not funny, Ghost. It's not funny. When I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. I'm not trying to get distracted, that type of madness. But that thing caught me off guard. So I banged my head and hit a part. Don't just, Mr. Paul know these type of furniture, these type of office furniture. If you're not careful, they have some weird metal ledges that is long. If you're not careful, you get a huge gash in your head.
Mm.
Luckily, I dodged that thing, but that thing hurt. So I'm coming around the table in my head. Why did the woman didn't stand up? Because normally that's common courtesy. Not sit down with your short skirt and you open your leg wide open for me to see. Why do that? So when I'm rubbing my head, trying to make sure I don't have my head is not bleeding, I'm trying to talk to her. 1, 2, 3 button open, and you show me your whole 32 triple D. I'm not trying to look at that. I'm trying to look up, explain the problem. After I check the computer, afterward, my partner here, drooling right next to me. I'm in nerd mode. And I think there's something wrong with the machine. Maybe I need to the machine be enabled because there's a connectivity whatsoever. I was doing looking up. Then I try to look back in her eyes. She getting the thing. I look back up again, explain the thing. I look to my side of me, and my partner is still. I'm like, what the hell? So after I done explaining, I turn around, try to walk out of the office, and drag my partner, and he couldn't take his gaze off that. Mind you, we get to the stage and I'm like, what's going on here? You don't see she telling me what you want you to see. I know what you want to see. I'm not trying to see it. I'm trying to get my job done, get out. Man, she'll give you a hint. I know she'll give me a hint. I don't need a goddamn hint. I want to get my job done and get out.
Mm.
This is my dilemma being a tall ass, 6 foot tall, 240 or 50 pound plus dude, lifting heavy equipment, and I got to worry about women throwing their hint at me. You think I'm gonna lose my job over some? No, thank you. Trying to keep it professional. This is why when you see my eye go up, I am not trying to look eye to eye. I don't trust your eye to eye. Your eye gonna try to tell me I know you want it. No, I don't. I'm trying to get my job done. Okay, I can't let you be fired. I need this job. Thank you.
But that's where my original statement earlier today is they can get away with that, but a man can't.
Okay, what expect a man to do? Come in with some tie dye Michael Jackson pants? Hey,
Yes.
really,
But
really.
no, here's
I'm
another one,
sorry.
okay?
I'm sorry. I'm not
Okay.
the diddler. I'm not the
Okay.
diddler. I ain't take that. Take that.
Well, here's my other statement with that. The dress. Nurses. I don't care how, hang on, how much clothes, those scrubs, it's very hard not to see through those. Definitely white scrubs and black, blue, purple, orange, green, whatever, all scrubs.
You got to mention the whole spectrum. Really,
Yeah, actually. It's me you're
Paul?
talking to.
Paul? Have you worked in the hospital before?
No.
You don't want to.
No, you're lucky, man.
I'm taking you
Because
around, Paul. You do not want to. Stay away from the
you
hospital.
you will probably get visors for your glasses. Because
Visor.
those scrubs, you can't, they can't help it. I get it. They're very thin clothes, and you see everything through those things. David, you haven't worked in a hospital before? I take that for a yes.
Amherst Hospital, Bellevue Hospital, Montefiore Hospital. Did I answer your question?
Again, yes.
Okay.
So you see what I have seen.
I try not to see what you have seen.
Hmm.
My favorite one is sometimes some hospital has little, I don't say break room, but they have little rooms in a per floor. They keep the stocks. I mean, water, whatever, food and stuff like that. They're like, it's definitely for emergencies. If those walls can talk, because there never cameras in those rooms for a reason. Who knows what can happen in those rooms?
I don't want to know.
Because I have walked into those rooms, I go, uh, uh my bad, I'm out. They weren't doing anything, but they were close enough to make you think they were doing something.
Like I said, I don't want to know. I've heard the scandal that went down in Amherst Hospital. How doctors are having multiple affairs with nurses and they're married and their wife is at home. Where that doctor betting who will get the young female doctor who looking like and then some. Yeah, I don't want to know. Okay,
You're
I do
blowing
not
it
want to
up,
know.
but it's again, it goes back to my original statement. It's a lot of these women make false statements because they cannot get their way, and they get away with it.
I think it depends on the nature of the job. For some, like I said, on the corporate sector, me and Paul have seen it very well. They are very, very skeptical, and some of these corporate setting jobs, they have high power lawyers whereby they'll dissect the case. You got to be careful about it. With the banking, insurance, fashion, PR, now media company is on the lookout because after Fox and CBS scandal, they want to avoid it as much as they can.
Yeah.
And we are tech. Like I said, we are tech. We see the thing that y'all don't get a chance to see. We just act like we don't see. We're like, I ain't seen that a goddamn thing. Let me keep moving. They had nothing to do with me. And I've seen the flirting going on in MTA too. You have these older women cougar on the plow.
Dude, cops are the worst ones.
I'm not touching cops. I do not want to touch nothing with
Okay,
cops.
I forget fuck cops for
I
a second. Let's talk about COs. Correction officers when I worked in the prison. And like, you know how many, like, it was one woman, cute, sweet, cute woman. I didn't think anything of it. Friendly, always to me, nice. But I find out later on, like, yeah, she's married. But later on, I find out she's screwing three other officers in there.
It's a thing of saying keeping your job. It's like within the club. It's a hush hush thing. How many police department do you know that's under that type of scandal? A lot.
Too
Remember that
many.
young white police officer when she did the whole entire police department? And later came back to sue them for taking advantage of her. I wonder who taking advantage of who.
Okay, here's another one for you. I know an officer. I
Oh,
can't remember his
oh yeah,
name
you
off
got
my
one.
head.
You got one like going on in New York City right now. That the chief police had to step down, and the former chief of internal affairs had to step down too, for that same issue. They did very recently.
And here goes what my statement was going to be. I knew, I don't know him personally. I heard a story of two officers who were married. They were on patrol together. When they started having marriage issues, they got divorced. And all of a sudden, now it's a big problem. Somebody had to quit or get transferred, and somebody got fired.
Mm.
I'm telling you, it's the culture. It depends on what kind of culture they have in that police department. Every police department is not the same. Some things will let it slide. Some people not gonna let it slide.
I agree with you.
I'm telling you, when it comes to police department, I do not want to be close to that. That's a twilight zone.
Yeah, but what you gotta say, Lance, you're being a little quiet down there.
No, I'm just I haven't found myself in these
Situations.
You
in these
won't.
particular situations, but I think that I'm still just thinking back to my situation, nearly 30 years ago.
You got
I
lucky,
think it's
Paul. I'm jealous of you. You found your
I
right
know I know
job.
I'm just saying I think these days it's someone told me one time it's like you never don't feed where you're planting.
Did I say that, Ghost?
And
Did I say that?
so I just think and just take it out of the work situation. Like even now, like depending on like if you go to church, for example, you got to
Oh
be careful
Lord.
with some things. If you're dating
Oh
in
Lord.
church, again, if things go well, y'all get married in the church and everything's fine, then hey, that's one thing. But if you're not, I think even in that setting, you have to be very intentional. And again, let the pastor know, or the heads of the church know that if you're going to pursue a relationship with someone and it needs to be towards marriage, if you want to be safe about it, but you don't want that reputation in the church as all the deacons hit it up, or you're the one who's trying to date all the choir members or something to that effect. You don't want that reputation as just being around. And I've seen it to the point where I've seen pastors get in trouble over some stuff, over, again, abuse of power. If you were going to look at it from a corporate perspective, it would be an abuse of power for, to date the secretary or the choir band leader or the deacon
It's
stewardess,
far worse than
whatever it
that.
is. I mean, it's just,
It's far worse than that. If it's not the pastor, not
I
the
get it,
church
but I'm
member,
right.
if they want the work leader sleeping with all the choir members,
Yeah,
or the
yeah,
drummer,
yeah.
or the youth pastor messing with the young girl,
Right,
or
right.
the deacon is messing with this person, or the deaconess is messing with that person, or if the pastor all come together to watch some kind of
It's all like I said.
did it
That's why
like
I'm saying
video.
you don't you don't feed where you're planting.
I know, I
So
know.
so again, I've had several because I've been in church leadership. We've had several trainings, if you will,
Huh?
on that situation,
Oh,
and it's just like you know what, that's why if I were single today
you won't.
and at church or whatever and trying to date someone in the church, I probably wouldn't.
You
You
won't be
know,
single today, Paul.
you know.
The- How would I put this? The Lord will not even let you be single at this age, Paul.
Mm. but yeah, but I wouldn't do it in a, especially if, like I said, if it's a relatively small congregation where just your stuff gets out. It's just, now again, a mega church or something like that. If you decide to go there, then maybe you can hide your stuff a little bit better. But I'm just saying it's the same thing. It's the same principle, David, that I
but
made earlier
but if,
about the
but if,
corporate.
but if multiplied by 100.
I get it, but I'm just saying, it's the same principle though as it working for a large corporation. Again, in my case, again, big company, thousands of employees, big campus and whatnot. That's different than if you're working with a company that with less than 50 employees. It just gets dicey. The same thing. If you go to a small church that maybe has 50 to 100 people who gather on a weekly basis, that's different than a place that may have 10,000. And you could possibly kind of could navigate a little bit freer there without people being all knowing what your business is. But even in that situation, again, if you intend to date someone seriously, then again, I think, to a large extent, especially if you're in leadership yourself, then I think your leadership should know about it. So I think there's just a way of how you conduct yourself that in the long run protects everybody. And because I like, I think in the back end of itself, yeah, if you're going to marry someone or meet some, yeah, you should meet someone from your church or what have you, someone who worships the way you do and the same environment that you are in and whatnot. I mean, that was one of the things when I was dating. It was hard because I would meet all kinds of different Christians, so to speak, and there's a lot of different beliefs. So again, what better is it that can you go to church? I've gone to churches on dates and whatnot. It's like, man, they do things a lot different. I don't know if I can. I don't know if I can vibe with this. So it's good that if you have not only the same faith but also the same worship practice or
Did you
whatever.
just say
So
you had a date going to church?
yeah, I mean, part of the dating. Yeah, I mean, because one of the things I wanted to know pretty early on was I wanted to know what your faith religion practice is. So if you go to a spot that's kind of like, again, very different than what I'm used to, then that could be a deal breaker. And because again, I'm not trying to take you away from what you do on the regular, but again, we should be able to, um, if that's going to be a central part of our lives, then I think we need to be able to come to some terms there. But if you're Catholic, for example, and I'm a Pentecostal and we getting slain in the spirit every Sunday or whatever, yeah, you may come and say, hey, that's some weird stuff. I don't know if I'm ready for that. And vice versa. I may come to your spot and say, hey, it's kind of quiet. It's kind of boring. People aren't with it. The music isn't, what I'm used to or whatever. So I think even when you go to church, I think that's important that you guys have, that you can worship in the same place and have that same go on that same sort of spiritual journey together. But if you're very different in that, I'm not saying it's impossible. Like I know religious people are married to atheists, so I'm not saying it's impossible. But I'm saying if I'm going to be selecting someone, then I want to be with somebody who can, again, we can vibe together on that spiritual level in a way that's compatible. We don't have to be exact, but compatible. So I would definitely put that as a criteria in the dating. That yeah, so if you go to a certain church or whatever, yeah, I may want to go just to get a sense of what are you being taught, what's the structure there, how they running things or whatnot. I just want to know what kind of spiritual influence that you're under. But if I go there and you guys are like speaking in tongues or doing some crazy stuff or whatever, I'm like, I don't know if I
And
want to.
that's
I
not
don't know if I
understandable
want to
because
rock
you were
rock with that.
raised a certain way and you want to follow the traditions what you were raised as. I get that.
Hmm.
Dave, you got anything to say this before we move on to the next part before we close it out?
The speaking tongue thing, I don't have a problem with because that is biblical. That part of the scripture in the book of Acts. But anything that's not biblical, that's not in the scripture, I do have a problem.
Hmm.
I understand where Paul coming from. I talked to Paul about it several times. I tell you from my upbringing, I get where he's coming from. I came from an African church that was not following the scripture down to the D. They were doing their own thing. So I get what he meant by that. But for me, mm-mm, I don't have a problem with speaking in tongue. I'll put it opposite. The church don't speak in tongue and don't believe in speaking. in tongue at all, I'm more likely want to run away from that church. I'm like, what kind of church that is?
Yeah, honestly, on that level, I'm just the opposite.
I understand.
Because again,
It's
they
scripturally,
said speak
it,
in tongues. It needs to be interpreted,
and you're
and
correct.
all this blah blah blah
And
stuff or whatever that
I
the
know
folks
you're
be
correct,
doing.
and I give you
That it,
that. You're correct.
so
Some
yeah. So
people are dragging it, and I understand that.
most of the drag. No, I would say if you go to like most of these AOG churches, Assemblies of God, Pentecostal churches, or whatever, they in fact they would say if you don't do it, then you're not even a Christian if you don't do that stuff. So I'm
No, that's
like,
dragging. They
so
dragging.
that's what I'm saying. But I think in my experience, most of them do. So that's what I'm saying. So if I went to a spot and they doing all that kind of stuff or whatever, I'm like, nah, this isn't for me, and you may not be for me either. So I'm going to another place. So I'm saying, I mean, the things that are important, like for me, Pete, I want to meet your family as soon as possible. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't mind a first date going to your parents' house. So let's say if you were a Greek girl and I'm like, okay, well, hey, I don't mind. Hey, would you like to come to my house for dinner or something like that? I want to be in the environment because again, I also understand that I'm not just marrying you. I'm marrying a culture. I'm marrying a family. So if it's going to be different, I want to know up front. It's like I'm going to be in a room with these crazy people or whatever. Do I want to do that? And like vice versa to mine. I tell my daughters all the time, don't be afraid, especially my oldest one, don't be afraid to bring your guy over. Because again, me and the guys, we're gonna evaluate, and we can smell right away. It's like, nope, it's not the one. At least not for you to invest serious time and consideration in. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're talking about long term, we can sniff right away that he ain't the one. You want to have fun, you want to hang out or whatever, fine, no problem. But long term, we can determine that. So I want to get into your family. I want to get into your faith. I want to get into your the important matters that the conversation need to be serious. I think a lot of people waste time not discussing the important things, but the problem is then you get so attached to somebody, and then it's like, well, you don't want to break it off because now you're attached. But those central elemental things of your life or whatever, I don't think you should be waiting on those things to explore them before you decide that, hey, I want to take this to another level or the next level or think long term with this person or not. I think those should be conversations that should be more easily had. So,
Yeah, that
that's
part
my
I
whole
definitely
philosophy when it
understand.
comes to that. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's get our final thoughts and let's get the heck out of here. David, you want to go first?
My final thought about this topic, which is, it was I don't know. I can't tell what a roller coaster because there's a lot of things that women have been taken advantage of. It happened to me in Estee Lauder, MTA, and many other weird jobs. I've been wondering, like, what the hell? I know you backed up, but goddamn, I'm not a male gigolo. But I think it's almost like a revenge, a twist of thing because before that era, during the Cosby, the Bill O'Reilly era, and many other era, they took advantage of women. So I'm guessing this is the payback to all the misogynist men who can throw their little balls around. Think they can do it with a one. Now the women will do the same exact thing. I really don't care, but don't bring it around my way. If I don't want you to advance, please don't advance after me, please. Leave me the hell alone. I'm a grumpy as king of the jungle gorilla. Okay?
And old.
And strong. And I'm not an earthquake. I beat up earthquakes for a living. Other than that, I know a lot of you guys have the similar story that we have. Some of you may have it worse. I'm glad we can relate with you guys, but damn, something gotta change. If not, get your passport ready, move to another country, join a different type of workforce, and hope it's different over there than here. Other than that, that's my final thought.
Well, like I said when I came in, most of my professional career, my higher ups have been women. The last CEO of the company that I work for, she was woman. In fact, they had two women. One was an interim, and then the final one. They didn't cause the company to go under, so I don't want to hear that nonsense either. I was just reading up on some articles. Forbes had an article about, in some respects, women CEOs, for example, either perform either at level, in some cases, depending on the situation, sometimes even better than men. So I'm not saying women aren't capable of leadership and all this stuff you may hear in the manosphere space. Again, I don't buy into that. But I do think that, when you are working with women, I think that, again, as a man, and like I said, in my case, as a black man, I think there's certainly a way that you conduct yourself, and in ways that protect yourself, that you can, still perform at a very high level, and you keep things above board. So I think the things that I talked about earlier, like sometimes I don't even like getting on an elevator if it's a one-on-one situation with someone who I don't know. Sometimes I've waited for the next elevator to come. Now, if it's a bunch of women getting on the elevator, then fine, no problem. Like I said, group situations, even things like happy hour. One thing we didn't touch on was like happy hour. I know that's, again, or office parties, or those things sort of that are outside of work, but technically are still work if you really get into your HR manuals. Even when you hang out in somewhat relaxed or sort of celebratory situations outside of the office, it can, in some ways, it could still be deemed as an office situation. So let's say if you're flirting with somebody at happy hour and say something or do something inappropriately, that can have an impact on your office situation. You may say, hey, this happened outside of work, but in some ways it may not be work. Yeah. So just as men, I think you just have to handle yourself in certain ways, keep the professional, keep the main thing. And when it comes to private interactions and whatnot, again, understand your situation. I think if you're married, I think you need to be a bit more private with who you interact with, or the things that you say. If you're single, still watch those situations. Like I said, especially happy hour, Christmas parties, and even more so the party after the party, because you can have a Christmas party and people still decide to hang out even after the party. So just in those situations where things are a little more light or personal or what have you, again, especially people, again, things happen. But if you're talking about your career, protecting your job, especially if you have people who are depending on you and whatnot, just always try to go out and conduct yourself in ways where everything's right in front of you, and you can hopefully see and catch things before they get to a point where it goes too far. But I think certainly, but I'm not, as a man, I'm not afraid of being replaced or any of the fears that sometimes these things happen. It's like, look, if I wanted to, advance in corporate or whatever, or I'm just going to put my performance out there and just let my results speak for me. If that's good enough to earn a promotion or a leadership position or whatever, then so be it. But I'm not. I just think that certainly men can still thrive in any environment that you're in, but just be careful and take necessary precautions that protect yourself and especially those who depend on you. That's all I got.
I think this is well said from all of us tonight. We had our own stories, and this is only part one of two. Yes, David, you heard me. Next week, actually, I'm gonna go over the schedule really fast. I'm gonna say why in a minute. So the schedule for the next 2 weeks is this Saturday. We're talking about all video games were they more difficult back in the day, and the key reasons. Something that we're gonna have fun with. Yes, Paul, you're still coming on that show. I don't want to hear you say I don't have enough information on that.
I can talk about the old stuff. I don't
That's what
know.
I'm talking
I
about.
don't
I
know
want
enough
you to be
about the
the
new stuff,
Obi.
but
Yeah,
I can
okay.
give I
The
can give the retro
Atari, the
perspective.
Commodore, the Kolenkos.
Yeah. Now, next Thursday, the first show
Commodore
of the
64,
year.
absolutely.
This is going to be the first show of the year. Is sex harassment a conversation we need to have? We're going to get deep in it, guys. I mean, get ready. Well, yes, this is part one. Next week is part two, like I said. And on the 4th, we will be having Game Over, the 2024 gaming crash.
There was
I
a
think
crash.
we're getting a game crash soon, David. I think it's coming. The way the gaming industry is right now, I am on an edge, big time. I'm gonna move forward a little forward for the other two shows because I want to have people a chance to come into this one. Now, oh, I missed a show by accident. I gotta add a show here. So I gotta move things around. And the next one after that will be because I gotta move things around and realize it. No, I'm right. Actually, I'm sorry. So the next one, and the 9th is gonna be the dark side of your brain. X-ray content toxic to your brain. Yep, David, I'm going there again. You know I am. And the one you're gonna love the most on a 111, we're talking about Voltron, Legend of Heroes. Yes, Wally, we will be talking about the gaming crash. I think is coming. Okay, David, anything else to say? Paul?
No, I'm good.
Ladies and gentlemen, as always, this was another episode of the Spartan Arena here at the Spartan SU Network. This is David. This is Mr. President, aka Paul. I am Ghost of Spara. As always, stay fresh, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Take care, guys. Have a good rest of your week. Oh, and Merry Christmas, Peter. I didn't know about the. So we'll talk offline.